The Green Futures of Tycho by William Sleator, Chapter 6. A great deal of activity was going on outside the bathroom when Tycho returned. Arguing, hysterical voices, and heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway. The bathroom door shivered repeatedly as some heavy instrument was pounded over and over against the lock. There was a scraping noise at the window, and Tycho turned to see Bobby's worried face appear at the top of a ladder. Tycho stood up. "Bobby," he said, "what's going on? What are you doing out there on a ladder?" "What's going on?" Bobby repeated blankly. "Tycho, you mean you've just been sitting there this whole time?" "What whole time?" Tycho said. How long had he been gone anyway? It was now 9. What time had he left? He didn't know, so he said, "I better go unlock the door before they break it down." He unlocked the door and Leonardo almost fell on top of him, wheezing, hammer and chisel in his hands. Judy, Ludwig, and Tamara hovered just behind him, looking worried. "Tycho," said Judy, "what happened? Are you all right?" "Nothing happened," Tycho said, deciding that all he could do was bluff his way through until he found out what was going on. "What's all the fuss about? I went in, and then Tamara knocked, and then I finished and came out," he shrugged. "Tycho," Judy said very quietly, "the last time you responded to anyone was a good half-hour ago. We've been knocking and calling and trying to get an answer out of you the whole time. We thought you were too sick to talk, or had fainted, or gone into a coma or something, But I'm fine," Tycho said, confused and unable to concentrate on how to get out of this mess with all of them watching him so closely. "Nothing is the matter. I didn't faint or anything. I didn't realize so much time had gone by." "In other words, you've just been calmly sitting there listening to us beg you to answer, probably laughing to yourself at the great practical joke you were playing. Is that it, Tycho?" Judy's voice was not so quiet now. "No, that's not it," Tycho insisted. "I wasn't playing a joke on anybody. I guess I just blanked out or something. I don't understand it. I guess..." His voice faltered. Judy, Tamara, and Leonardo were clearly furious with him now, but not Ludwig. He seemed only curious, squinting down at Tycho through his long dark bangs as he tried to puzzle it all out. Bobby clomped noisily up the stairs and burst into the group, his face red. "All right, explain yourself," he demanded, panting. He has no explanation," Judy said crisply. "He was just sitting there, listening." "No, it wasn't like that," Tycho insisted. "Then what was it like?" said Bobby. "Tell us. Please, we're waiting." It was a very bad half hour. If he had been any younger, he was sure they would have spanked him. As it was, by the time he escaped to his room and flung himself miserably down on the bed, he was almost crying. On the table beside his bed lay his watch, stopped at 20 minutes to 2. He felt like smashing it to the floor, furious at the whole concept of time getting him into this rotten situation. And why had it happened? Because he didn't know what time he had left, miscalculated on his return, and came back a half hour too late. What he should have done was check the time of his departure, and then set the egg to bring him back 1 minute after he had left. That way, no matter how much time he spent on his trip, he would come back soon enough to be aware of what was going on in the present and not miss anything important. That was the way to avoid causing and experiencing the kind of unpleasantness they had all been going through for the last half hour. He took the watch from the table and carefully began winding it. Only one person had not been frightened and angry, and that was Ludwig. He had been suspicious, and that, of course, was another reason why it was so important to be precise about when he left and when he came back. Already 2 unexplainable things had happened to him today. If the others had not been so emotionally involved, they might have been suspicious too, instead of merely angry. He was lucky that so far only Ludwig was suspicious, but he would have been luckier if no one was. How much did Ludwig suspect? He couldn't possibly know very much. Still, he had to be very careful not to make any more slip-ups. If Ludwig ever did figure out what was going on, he would be very quick to get the egg away from Tycho and claim all the adventure for himself. Tycho undressed and got back in bed. Checking with his bedside electric clock, he set his watch to the correct time and carefully fixed it around his wrist. Then he turned out the light. Now, for the first time, he was fully aware of exactly what the egg could do and how it worked. He began to plan. When he woke up in the morning, he was ready for his first major adventure. And that's the end of Chapter 6.